to introduce us today, Colin?
Would you like to introduce us today, or are you asking me to introduce us today, Richard? We're introduced. So a tie, then a loss. That's where we are. So,
Okay, I have a lot of questions about that. So I have to be honest. I don't usually buy into the fact that, hey, I don't find the positives in a loss usually ever. Um, but what happens is when we make excuses, so we can make excuses for the tie, and we can say, well, if it weren't for, the two fumbles and overtime, if it weren't for, and if this didn't happen, then that didn't happen, and then we can go to this week, and we can say the same thing about the ending of the game. If this didn't happen, then only if. And so basically, and I guess I'm just going to say this, and probably shouldn't, but it's almost like saying should I say this? It's
yeah.
almost like saying if grandma had balls, she'd be grandpa.
Well, there you go. Well, here's my if. I could handle a moral victory against the Chargers if they hadn't tied against the Lions. If that tie was a win against the Lions, then I'd feel a lot better about the loss against the Chargers because the offense played well at the end. Sure, the defense stunk, but the record would look in totality just a lot better. And someone could sell to me, hey, the offense got it together. They made plays. They scored 27 points in the fourth quarter if the previous week was not a tie. But now I can't do any of it. Now it's
but remember, previous week was a different quarterback.
Doesn't matter.
But kind
terrible
of does.
team.
Yeah,
terrible
but
team.
I got to be honest, Colin, and I see your point there. Next man up, I get it. I think that the conversation about Ben Roethlisberger, I mean, I think he's proved and proven then he can still play. Is he the number one choice in the league? No, but the person we played against to me is. I love that kid. I really do. But Ben, I think he was adequate. He certainly was adequate enough to win the game. My question to you is, as the expert, which I believe you are the finest in the city, why would you only run the ball 12 times?
That's a good question. It's one I have in my head. It's one thing to have to throw from behind, and they did that. So that negates a little bit of it, but it doesn't negate it at the beginning of the game, and it certainly doesn't negate it in the red zone. They need to run the football better in the red zone. They have no belief in this offensive line. It seems like now they've swung the other way, where they believed in them for a little while, and now they don't believe in them. To run it just 12 times to Najee Harris is just not good enough. I don't know if they're getting their signals crossed. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if Ben Roethlisberger in that fourth quarter and in the second half just said, I'm going to call the plays and I'm going to call a bunch of throws. But I don't have an answer for you. Why draft a guy that high if you're not going to use him to run the football a lot?
And I agree with all of that. But what I saw, and I always, like I said before, I always try to look for the subtext and see I try to interpret the feelings and every emotion that I see on the field. When I saw Ben look at the sidelines, he looked exasperated to me. And to me, it looked like he was appealing to Mike Tomlin saying, WTF, Mike, what are we doing? Why are we calling these plays? And that's what it looked like to me. And that would tell me then that Ben wasn't calling all those plays on his own, but that he also didn't agree with those play calls.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you. I wish I did. It'd become a lot clearer.
Did anybody ask that question?
No, they didn't ask about the pass run ratio. I do have a bone to pick with you about something you just said, though.
Okay.
That I think. You said that you think Ben is still really good. Can I meet you in the middle somewhere in that?
Yeah, but I didn't say Ben's really good.
What did you say?
Adequate and can win.
And can win. Okay, and can win. That's the part. You remember that Toby Keith song? What was it? I'm as good as I once was, but one time or whatever, however the crux of it was. I'm as good once as I ever was.
Yes.
That's Ben Roethlisberger right now. He's as good for one game or as good for two games as he ever was. You watch him and you go, oh, what? For a quarter, for a game, for maybe 2 weeks. But he'll never do that over the course of 5 games or a season. We saw it last year. Brilliant for 11 games, straight down the tubes. It was going to, and that's what he is. That's not a bad thing. He's not totally shot. But I don't let the successes fool me into thinking it's something that he can carry week to week at that level anymore.
Okay, so that's interesting. I mean, I would want to see how this all plays out. I have a lot of external influences in my head, though. I think that the first 11 games last year, um, who was Matt Canada was involved in the play calling for the first 11. I think that rumor says Ben didn't like that, and then somebody else called the plays from game 11 on, which really was a bad run for us. And so I can look at the play calling and wonder if that's why Ben kind of came apart. I can look at what you just said and say, I see that and I agree with that. But then the hopeful Steeler fan part of me comes in and says, come on, man, be a believer. And then I'm a believer until game day. And then I say, damn, it's the same old Steelers. And that's the point where I think you're making, and I don't want to see that.
Well, there's got to be a drop off in his game. So, look, he's great for a finite period of time. And it's just measuring what that time is now. Is it a quarter? Is it a game? Is it a couple weeks? My argument is it's never going to be a full season again.
I think, I'm going to disagree. And I'm going to tell you why. I think Ben's going to run it out. I think Ben is going to be very good or good enough to win for the final part of the season. I believe that. I believe that because I watch him and his enthusiasm and zeal for the game, I don't think he had last year. I think he has come back on a mission. I think he has something to prove to himself. When I heard that, he flew to the game private, he flew with his children. Children were in the stands. I watched him. I watched all of his things that he was motions and I wanted to see the zip in his zap. I wanted to see the pep in his step, and he had it. And he had it on the sidelines. He had it in pregame. He had it. And I don't think I think you can continue to win with that. Sports and sales are the two things that really can be controlled by attitude. And I think that his attitude is really good right now. I'm a believer. I think he'll finish it out. And when he retires, I think he'll go out the right way.
Okay. I just think his body's not going to allow him to do the things that his
brain wants to do. That's the unknown. Yeah, that's the unknown. I mean, a couple of those times he got up slowly. So yes, I agree with that part. But
so there's that. There's that for me.
Look at last night. So did you watch Tom Brady last night?
Yes.
So Tom Brady, brilliant, right? But Tom Brady the 2 weeks prior was horrible, right? Horrible. And that's Tom Brady.
But Tom Brady just won a Super Bowl. So he gets a little bit of a longer leash.
You know what I can't stand about these whatever we're doing? I hate it because you always use common sense.
Now, answer me this.
Yes.
This is the biggest question, I think, in Steelerville right now. The Steelers went all the way up. They drafted – we talked about this last week. They drafted Devin Bush with number 10. Another not a good performance from him. You're paying him – you're not paying him a ton of money yet because he's still on that first contract.
Yeah,
but you really went out of your way to draft him. It's glaringly obvious he's not really good right now, and he's recovering from that knee injury. But you don't have a ton behind him. Something's got to give. It just has to.
What do you mean?
You either need to say, I totally stand behind the guy. He's 100% my guy, even if I'm dead wrong, or you play someone else.
I'll tell you, Alex Highsmith is playing lights out, I think.
He's playing pretty good, but people are mad at that inside linebacker position. What we're seeing on film, we're not all crazy.
Right.
Bush just isn't playing good.
He's not. But so you said, you said two things. You said he's not playing great, and you mentioned his injury. I don't know if they intersect. I don't know if one's causing the other or not. I saw a lot of silliness from him in the offseason on Twitter, a lot of silliness. And he kind of lost me a little bit because I really did believe in him. Because to me, the shoes he was backfilling, it was Ryan Shazier. And Ryan Shazier embodied everything to me. It's the right attitude, the right everything. Perfect. I used to look at Jason Taylor and think the same thing. That's the guy, the lean, tall, fast. They built speed. And that's what I thought Devin Bush was going to be. And I think he can be. And maybe there's something in him that's holding back. But, he's a pro. He's got to get on the field and let it all go. Put it all out there because I don't know that he is for whatever reason. Whether it's injury, afraid of injury, I don't know. But something is holding his head back. So I agree with you there.
Cincinnati Bengals this week.
Yeah.
Are you in the camp of they've showed me enough with Joe Burrow and Chase? Or are you in the camp of the Bengals are the new Browns and they need to win for a protracted period of time before Richard Bazzy believes in the Bengals?
No, what scares me about the Bengals is their quarterback in our secondary. That's what scares me. I don't really have a philosophy either way. I look at them as really just another team.
Mm-hmm.
The running back is I forget his name. What's the running back?
In Cincinnati, Joe Mixon.
Yeah. I mean, he can exploit our middle. He really can. And I'm concerned about that. But then you got to talk about Cam Hayward. And how about that guy, right?
Oh,
how about that guy?
It's lost on us that we're seeing greatness right now because there's not greatness around him, I think, and the record isn't yielding that. There's a real conversation about him being in a Pro Football Hall of Famer. I'm not kidding.
100%. 100%. And from what I have heard, he's part of our community. And from what I have heard in the community personally, he is just that same guy. And TJ Watt, same guy. Derek Watt, same guy. These are people that are just unbelievable. We're so lucky to have them in this city, let alone on this roster. They're just good guys. But back to the Bengals, I think they could present a legitimate problem for us. I don't know who's going to be back. I don't know if we're going to have Joe Hayden back. What's his name? The secondary. I kind of like him. That played, that filled in this week.
Who? Pierre?
No.
Oh, Norwood.
No. Mollett. What is his name?
Oh, Millette. Arthur Millette. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of like him. He made a couple bad plays, but I kind of like him.
I like all the young guys except Carl Joseph and Akella Witherspoon. They're just not ready to play. They're not. They're never going to help.
I agree with that, but I do think that we have something here, Colin. I really do. I think, man, maybe we're not running the ball as much because our receiving core is just. When did we ever have receivers like this? I mean, I love Chase Claypool. Love him. I love Deontay. I loved Deontay before he started with the drops last year, and thank goodness that was something he fixed. But I loved him in year one. I love Chase Claypool. I love Freiermuth. I mean, how do you not love these receivers? You could take your whole day and put your running back on the bench and just find a different receiver every play.
All right. Well, let me ask you something because this was a conversation that I had not long ago. If both of those guys in the next 2 years, Claypool and Johnson, come to the Steelers and they can break the bank, but only with one of them, who would it be and why?
Oh, man.
That could be a proposition they face.
Oh, that would be really tough. That would be really tough. I don't think I could pick one. I would probably go Deontay.
Uh-huh.
Probably because he can really stretch the field, but so can Chase. Chase can really stretch the field too. I don't think I'd have to tell you, look somewhere else for your cost savings. You can't get it in those two.
Well, here's the rub. You're going to have to pay a high dollar tight end in Freiermuth. It's trending in that direction where he's going to want non-tight end money, so to speak. He's going to be that good, right?
Well, and do we know the salary cap next year?
No, it is going to go up, and Ben Roethlisberger's going to come off the books sometime, whether it's next year or in 8 years from now. At some point, he's gonna, one would think, come off the books.
But
So
his cap hits what, only 5 or 14?
yeah, it's like 14.
So 14 is his cap hit. So okay, so he comes off. You bring a rookie in. Um, you pay him his rookie contract, or you trade for a vet, and that might be a different issue. If they trade for a vet, it's going to have to be a lot of money. I mean, you're not going to bring Aaron Rodgers here for nothing.
Right.
Not that you would. I don't think we will. But even if you did, so that's his cap hit. You're what, 83 million right now?
And you're going to have to figure out what you're doing with Minka Fitzpatrick as well.
Yeah. Well, that makes it easier if he doesn't pick up his game.
Right.
Because,
not that I want that to happen.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I want to see him succeed. I want to see all of it. However, he's going to have to pick up his game, and there's a lot of what ifs here. But I don't know. I think it was 83 million cap this year.
It'll go up because of the television
it has
deal.
To go up because that, what, in today's world, that's pretty low.
Yeah, certainly. Now, what were you yammering about off the air about some instrument or something of the such?
I was asked by Chelsea and by Danielle. I was asked a question about what instrument, and I thought I'm going to revert this question to you because I think it's a better question to you. If you had your choice to pick one musical instrument that you could play professionally, that you would be so good playing, what would that instrument be?
I got it, and I have a reason, and I have a recent story as to why. This is incredible.
No. Yeah. I hope it's not a tuba.
No, it's not a tuba. And the ladies will love this, actually, and they'll love the reasoning. I was walking not too long ago at the Grand Floridian at Disney, which is, where we stay a lot when we go down there. So I'm walking, and if you go to a high-end hotel or a restaurant or, somewhere, the most prevalent instrument I think you'll see at a nice place is a grand piano. Would you agree with me that you see pianos at nice places?
Yes.
And there was a guy playing Christmas carols, because it was just a couple weeks ago. And I thought, could you imagine if that, and there are a lot of times during the day where that's just bare. Like nobody's there. It's just sitting there. Same thing at Fairmont or different places downtown or high-end restaurants. Could you imagine having the chutzpah and also having the talent in a full house of people just meandering around at the mall where there's like a piano to sit down and just knock it out and woo the ladies' hearts and them all look at you and go, oh, I'm a happily married man. But I think that would, just everybody, that would do something to people and go like, not to be a show off, but I think that would bring a certain sense of who's the man. Like if you could, that moment would be a total mic drop moment. If you sat down at a crowded hotel as people are walking around and you just knocked it out of the park and then just stood up and mingled in with the crowd.
Wow. So you've given this some thought, I see.
Oh, I know. I was standing there watching this guy play Christmas carols and I was like, that's the baddest dude in the building. That guy right there, little unassuming looking guy. But every woman in this place is mesmerized by this man and his ability to play that piano because he was
always about the boy-girl thing.
Yeah, he was playing like these like fast Christmas songs. Then he was doing like Michael Bublé or whatever. Oh, like.
Well, the girls do like Michael Bublé.
A lot.
But okay, so
piano's my answer.
That's a great answer. I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that.
You can play piano like that?
Not like that, but I can play Christmas carols on the piano.
What?
Yeah.
See,
I can do that.
Do you come from a generation where you had like a family sing and people would sit around and do that though?
Yes, I created that. But my uncle was Frank Sinatra. You're young enough. You know Frank Sinatra, right?
Yeah.
So he was Frank Sinatra's lead guitarist for 25 years. So my family does have a musical background, and he used to come to the house, at Christmas time, and everybody would sing. He would play the guitar, and everybody would sing Christmas.
So he like lived in Palm Springs or something?
He lived in Burbank, California.
Wow.
Yeah. So he traveled with Frank. He did all of that. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. But so he taught me guitar, which I can barely play anymore, but I do love it. I love music. And the piano, I do have a black baby grand, black lacquer baby grand that I only play once a year at Christmas. I have had no formal instruction on the piano, but I can kind of play it by ear.
Oh,
And
this mesmerizes me.
Joy
So,
to the World is my go-to song.
like fast rockin' Joy to the World.
How about just basic Joy to the World?
Okay, all right. Well, you should. There is $500 cash American in it for you if you ever sit down in a crowded hotel lobby and sit down and just knock it out and then stand up and just steal all their hearts, Richard.
Okay, I don't know that I could do all of that, but I will tell you, I will tell you part one of that. You know, you're probably talking to the guy that would do that.
I know. But so now that you asked, I hope that's not too much of a long-winded answer. But
That is a great answer,
was
and
that
it's
your
also
answer?
I
The
would be,
piano?
you know what, piano would be it. I would love to be able to, like, I watch some of these concert pianists, and man, it's beautiful. It's really a beautiful instrument, and I do wish I was proficient. I'm not proficient, but I can pick out Joy to the World.
Well, the thing too about the piano is this, and I guess all instruments are kind of like this, but especially the classic instruments, like a piano, especially, is they they're transcendent language wise. Like if you play the piano, all the old music in classical music is the same whether it's a German audience, an English
Yeah,
audience, an Italian audience. So it travels,
yes,
you
it does.
know.
It's a great. That's actually a great topic. Yeah, that's all true, and I love how music does transcend all generations, all ethnicities, all religious beliefs. It transcends everything. It really is a bond.
But
And
if it's Michael Bublé, it really transcends. I
oh
mean,
my,
this guy had them. They were. Ooh.
you kill me. You didn't comment on anything here that
Yeah, well, you have a snowflake on your hat there.
see. Danielle says snowflake. It's supposed to be a freaking sunburst.
When I think of sunburst, I think of like Arizona meets New Mexico and a little bit of Albuquerque, El Paso to it.
Okay, well, I'm a snowflake. I've been called a snowflake before anyway.
Well, we don't talk politics on this show. We talk
No,
sports.
we don't talk politics.
My gosh.
We have a hard enough time talking about sports.
All right, Steelers, Bengals. Are you giving a prediction this week?
I'll never go anti-Steelers. Always Steelers. Always Steelers. No matter what. I think it's going to be close. I do think it's going to be close, but I think Steelers.
I like the Steelers this week.
Do you really?
I think they're gonna get some players back. I think they're gonna build off of what they did in the fourth quarter. I think Najee Harris is gonna have a big game. I think they might actually win by a touchdown and a half. I think they might win by 10 points.
Wow, that's pretty big. And when you said today, and I didn't even realize because I didn't really look at the stats, I didn't realize the 27 points they scored in the fourth quarter. I think that's pretty cool. And they can do it. They really can do it. And anyway, I'm not going to say it. They're good. They're going to be a good team. They're going to win. They are going to be in the playoffs.
All right, Mr. Sunburst. Great stuff.
Okay. Thank you.